guys. It's Sunday morning. Got an area of our world map here that keeps getting used a lot, so we're going to transcribe it into a more detailed form. The area in question is this area right here in the North Poles. From here to here to here, about so say 3x3 hexes or something like that. So we're going to remake this onto this other page. How y'all doing? All right, so this is the right side. We're going to do it over here on the left side. So how do I do this? Give you a better shot, basically. That's a little bit. Now you just have to live with my arm and Cthulhu on the right of your screen. Okay, let's do what we do here. Start with a border and do these hexes. I have really no idea how to properly do hexes. No idea how. All right, there's a start there. I'm going to really clean up a little so you can get a better view here. Hang on. Okay, so the area of hexes we're going to do is yay big here. One, dun, 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 like hopscotch. You need to end it there, so you're going to make like a diamond. So draw a vertical hex up top to start. So you guys know me, if I don't really know how to do something properly, I will just wing it by hand. So I'm going to get a little bit of a reference line here. Something like that. So that would be the line that leads into the top. Interesting. And there's just a little reference line. So the top hex could be right there. Then hex, not quite big enough, so the top hex can be like, okay, cool. So I'm just going to wing it, guys. Cool. Here we go. So the idea here is to lend some detail and character to this area since it's getting used so much by various crown and skull groups that are out there. I hope you can hear me okay. I don't. I'm such a sloppy crumb bum. All right, there we go. So there's our hex map. So we know that in that top vertical hex we have town. That's Gardenborough. All right, so we're going to start there. Only because it's a known quantity. So that's right up here where you can't see that good. There we go. This is going to be the town of Gardenborough right here. So my honeycomb is cool. It's vertical, but I'm not going to be too obedient to it. So Gardenborough is a town of these foresty buildings. And I know it has a famous arch bridge in it. All right, there's the start of our little town. We're underway. Hope you all having a nice weekend. So just cruising away on my little town there. But I'm also just going to leave it. So I just know that's where my little village is. I'm just going to let it hang out because I've got a whole map to do. So I'm just going to start kind of wandering around before I sort of fixate on something. All right, so next hex is over here, and it has a lake crossing these two hexes. Then we have woods here, here, and these three are a thick forest, just like that. So we've also got a road. Let's make sure we do the roads. So there's a road here, goes through this hex and out of it, so it goes like this. Then the road continues through the village hex, kind of goes through here, and off screen right there. Okay. Then we've got a pine forest, but it's kind of out of reach up here. We'll worry about that in a minute. So I just need to do forest. 5 hexes of forest. And you all know what that means. Trees. Trees. Deciduous trees. So there's a start on the first tree hex. Now here's where we want to do more than what that small map can do as far as details. So we're going to start about thinking some other things that could be happening in here. And the way we want to link it to the material is right here in my Crown and Skull bootleg. I'll look up the Garden Burrow hex. Or the town. It's the Oakenwood is the name of this area. Yep. Town province. There they are. Oh. So here, yeah. So here's all the answers I'm looking for. So first of all, I've got what is it called? Frost Spring, which is at the southern shore of Oak Lake, which is right here. So Frost Spring is going to be like one of these little dudes. Hang on, I got a flickering light bulb. When my neighbors run power tools, my light bulb flickers. How creepy is that? There we go. Okay, welcome back to the MORUT. We're using the Crown and Skull bootleg edition to get prompts that fit the text out of our more detailed map. Oak Lake, all right, Frost Spring. Aberville Lookout is north of the village, so I don't have to worry about that. The Loaf and Leaf is one of the main taverns here. So I'm going to put a little sign out. It's got a little piece of bread and a little leaf. Wild ponies. Great. So there's a mine nearby. And there's Hurion. And there's also the spider problem. Okay, we got a lot here. So first of all, let's mark Hurion. Put this back over there. Okay. Hurion is a giant old tree, kind of like the Deku tree in Zelda, which acts as a teacher to druids in the area. So I think it's going to live like right down here. Feels right. So let's just do it. So there's the start of Hurion, this venerable old tree. Now we're still in these main foresty hexes, so we got to reinforce our visual cues. And I'm just ignoring the pen lines for the hexes. I'm just going to pretend they're not there. Oh yes, then we had pest control in the Oakenwood. So this whole little area we're doing is the Oakenwood. So if we've got Frost Spring here and we've got Hurion here, I feel like pest control is mainly here and here. So let's do that. So not only are we going to be doing a forest, we're going to be doing like spider forest. So first of all, let's do some tree work here. Now there's a million ways you can do ubiquitous trees on your fantasy maps. Honestly, I flip-flop between them all the time. Sometimes I do trunks, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do shadows, sometimes I don't. It's the pirate's life for me. But you generally won't go wrong if you put shadows on the bottom sides of your blobs. All right, then we got some trees going. Oh yeah, hey Park, what's up? Well, you're the third group now to use this little cluster of hexes, so I figured this be a good move. Maybe Hurion has some like brambles too that honor and protect him. I do brambles just like I do, barbed wire, pretty much. Nature's barbed wire. Then you put your little thorns on your barbed wire like that. So the trend you're going to start seeing me doing here on YouTube's is I'm kind of just keeping an enthusiastic and happy eye on everything the community is doing with Crown and Skull, and then thinking, how can I feed into that? So there was a discussion of solo gameplay. So I was like, okay, for the monthly zine, I'll do the solo gameplay. And then I noticed several groups playing in this small area of hexes. So I'll try to map out these hexes with more details. So maybe some ideas come to the plate. Okay, so there's the start of the Hurion hex. Good old dots for dirt. I'm going to reinforce this little lake shore. Now we've got the spider forest problem, which is going to be these two right here. So let's see, we're going to need a tree, 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 a tree. But then there are these weird little holes. Ooh, we got some scary music too. Just in time. Getting started on the web forest. Yeah, Park, there's Frost Spring right there. Give it a little shadow so it pops a little more. So really, I just find that the most effective stuff. Like, did the sun just go away? What happened? Is not only little story hook type stuff, um, but also just discernible terrain on a hex boundary. Sorry about that. So if there's a hex boundary, there are enough different things that you get a quick suggestion of what's different here. Not just that it is. Okay, we're in another forest hex. So if you're mapping visually like this, it's something to sort of push yourself on. Like, what am I doing differently in this hex than what I did before? I just thought of it because of all these weird little pockmarky holes. I don't want to do that in any hexes unless they're spidery forest hexes. I think there's going to be a weird rock here too. I'm just going to draw it right now. There's the weird rock. It's like a big rock at the top of Oak Lake. We'll worry about that in a minute. So there's probably also a main hole, right? Because you have all these pock marks, so there's kind of one bigger hole. Kind of scarier. And then you got more webby trees. And if you notice, just to do like, sort of isometric trees, you always just draw whatever's on the lowest on the paper first. Dang this. You guys probably can't see it, but damn, she's flickering. I hate that. Somebody's running like a cement. I can't hear it. Hang on a sec. There we go. There we go. We're back. Okay. Pardon the interruption. And while you're doing features and story hooks and things that are different, don't forget to cover your main duties. Cover your duties. Trees. And why bother? Well, the purpose, I think, the dividends of a well-made RPG map is that they make ideas pop into the game that may not have popped in there before. So that's why you bother drawing all these damn trees and doing all this. Also because it's fun. Damn it. And we're starting to see some continuity here. Okay, so now here is the area closer to Gardenboro. We've got, I don't know, this rock. Let's get an actual character from the book and name the rock after him. Where I should have marked my page with the cool town info. Here we go. So there's Master. Here's Grimtoe. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, Alluria's rock. Great. Here we have Hurion. And some of these location names I'll have to do in fountain pen because there's not a lot of space. So not everything can be in Sharpie. Okay. Looks like a drainage kind of seems to be coming from the rock into the lake. So that's almost an implied. There's like a little shore there that's implied. Anyway, I do know I'm doing spider hell down here. So I think down here, actually, the trees are being killed by the spider infestation. Stinking arachnids. Always taking over the woods, I tell you. Always. Crawling on Radagast's house. Ridiculous. So here we start to see some sticks for the first time. You know, maybe there's even a bleeding tree down here. Well, no, we have Hurion. Hurion would never abide a bleeding tree so close. Okay, so now I got plenty of dead trees down here. Kind of scurry. Need my webs. So it's kind of bad. Gotten kind of bad down here. Gotten kind of bad. Things have gotten a little bad. All right, cool. So we're starting to feel our forest fill in. This was a bit of a bonus, but it's more like a spidery wasteland. This is where I really want to do my lush oaken wood. So let's do a lush forest where there's no breakage. That's going to be the difference here. So remember, if it's at the bottom of whatever you happen to be drawing, draw it first. Then as you go, put things behind things, and you'll always have a front to back evolution. So work your way up from the bottom. Small break in the forest there. Actually, kind of have an accidental road forming, so I'm going to go ahead and lean in on that. There's a lot of woods. Drawing a lot of woods over here. There's a little dead skeleton corpse. So we just have this super thick forest, so let's do the trunks. Zoned out for a minute there. See, I've already kind of changed my forest rendering style just within the same map. It's inexcusable. Just doing simple trunks on this dense forest. No sticks or anything. And then I'll go get the bottom edge. Strengthen it. Strengthen. There we go. The dense forest of oak and wood. Boog, 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 boog. Now, am I really like adding anything valuable? Well, we need to get into that now. Let's do that. So we've got some areas that could pose some interesting things. Like I think there's going to be some mine here. And then, ooh, we do have a giant, scary, dead tree. It's almost like Hurion's dead, deceased brethren over here. So let's do that. We know we're going to have that. Okay, I want to put a mine over here. The road goes through some forest here. But the mine is like here. Okay, we'll get back to that. A little more forest here. Actually, the coast is right here in this hex. Same one as the road. Crazy. So we'll do this little peninsula. Do a little shoreline there. So this is shoreline. And then up and left. Oh, so we do have room for Abervale Lookout. It's going to be right here. Now look at my excitement. All right. And then the coast kind of goes over there. That's fun. That gives us a nice edge on the top. Okay. Okay. So first of all, let's do Ye Old Bleeding Tree down here. For those of you who have read or are reading the book, you know what I'm talking about. The walls in the 53rd precinct were bleeding. How do you explain that? So it's always kind of swampy and scary and dead around the bleeding trees. And then we'll just blend it back into forest here. Do some brambles. This is crazy, man. This has got a wild vibe to it. Okay, there's our cool mine entrance over there. I think there's a pleasant area here between town and Alluria's Rock. You know, like, you don't just go right from town to the wilderness. So we have a fort up here. I'm just going to do it like, I guess like a square kind of. Okay, so there's the basic idea of my fort, kind of like a little keep. And I know it's like right on the cliff line, so there's the cliff line. yes, there's some towering cliffs here. And then you have a road from town up there, but I know that road's a little bit perilous. It's just some play that has happened. Of course, it gets rocky up here. All right, and we're underway up there. There was a little pine forest sort of along this northern shore that I probably want to capture some little pine trees. I guess in here. Just a bit of pine growth along the coast. You know, nothing to go crazy over. Just a little pine growth. A copse, if you will, a copse of pine tree. So cruising along here on this crazy map that is really wild to look at in person on the brain. There's a lot of little data going on here. And really just a lot of it needs to be just darkened in so it makes sense, like one thing from another. It's all just sort of the same weight right now, if you will. My brown Sharpie is being an absolute champion. So see, even just that step there, like just gets rid of a lot of that visual clutter where you can't tell things apart just by filling things in, you know. And it's a lot just like coloring with crayons when you're a kid. If you just make a decision on certain shapes are just going to get filled with your marker, that's just how it is, then you can just kind of identify those shapes and fill them and not really worry about complex ideas like lighting and, you know, 3D drawing and all that stuff. You kind of just make it a little simpler on yourself. There we go. Got that fort looking like it's actually there. Nice and solid. Okay, so now we have a lot of our like ideas that I'm kind of offering up Park and other groups. Think about Alluria's Rock, right? Who's Alluria? Well, she's this elven princess. And, you know, whenever she comes to the area, people like pledge service to her. She's like a luminous kind of creature. People want to honor her. They want to be seen honoring her. She's like a status symbol. She's epic. So, of course, they would name this immense boulder over by the lake after her. We have that. We have our bleeding tree down here, which was on our other map, but it was easy to miss because it's so big and that's so small. So that's a reminder. So anywhere there's a bleeding tree, it's going to have negative influence. We've got our cool little spring here. Hurion, who's this aged tree that is venerated by druids. We've got some brambles here and there for sort of travel story. We've got just the thick forest here. So that's kind of cool. It's just all it is thick forest. And then we have like an area near town So we don't just go town to wilderness. So what would that be? That's like fields, right? Hey, actually, let's do a farm. So during farms, start with your little farmhouse. Okay. Maybe there's a second little outbuilding here. Then you do these fun little rows. Where they're tilling the land. Look at this. They're growing butter lettuce. You can really, no pun intended, you can get into the weeds when it comes to farming. Drawing little farms is so fun. Get in the weeds. So I just drew sort of like one farm. But of course, the implication is that they're, this is farmlands, right? And then again, I want to be coloring in a lot of shapes because I just have so many lines. You want to get some more solid ink like presence so your eye has a place to rest. Like if you look at the Alfheim map, all the trees are inked in, which is pretty extreme solution. Like here would be a lot of ink. I'm not going to get too much into thinking about the water. I don't think this is really a map for that topic. Well, I don't know about y'all out there, but we have had our first taste of cool breeze. The autumnal breeze. And it is so nice. Hoodie season, baby. Sweater weather. Some nice burly cliffs there outside of Gardenboro. Pine forest on the cliffs. Pine forest to take us off stage, off screen. Seth shredding on this song. Yeah. He's fucking crazy. All right. Hey, we're looking pretty good here. Now, I think this being sort of like open land is a good relief on the eye. So I'm just going to add a few stones and a little bit of grass and just go easy on all the landmarks and all the information. But again, it's really so tiny on the full map. It's hard to get even this amount of data. That there's like a grassy, I guess a moor is what it would be. It's kind of like a big moor leading up to the fort. Boo, boo, boo. What's that, Vorpal? More of the collector's edition? I don't think the second run is sold out yet. Hey, what do I know, huh? Wise guy over here. Okay, so this is almost one of my favorite little zones. This gives me a lot of reprieve on the mental overload of some of these other shapes. This is real nice. So I want to kind of capture that a little more. So we'll do another grassy moor out here, which is kind of cool because you can feel how, like, where the cliffs are, the forest kind of ends and you get grassland areas leading up to the cliffs and the pines. Now, why does that matter? What is the point of even doing such a map? Well, one would hope that it informs unexpected roleplay. I mean, that's what that's what this is all about, y'all. Jeez. There's a little sign in front of the mine, of course. Yeah. Yeah, and the farm is sort of in the area where the forest breaks open into the grasslands, and so of course that's where you're going to farm and have a village. Very nice, very nice. Now I need to make sure that your eye catches that this is the shoreline up here, so I'm going to double it in thickness, because just on a glance of this map you should be understanding that that's the edge of land. But I don't have like a blue marker or something to fill in all the water, which is normally something you would do to get that cue. So here, just need a heavy line. There we go. Just reinforcing that feeling of the end of the land. All right. So anyway, trucking along, right? Looking pretty good. Now it's a little weird how I know that we're only using, like, these are our focal hexes, but that doesn't mean like these other ones kind of don't exist. So just to give us that map feel, I think we'll kind of keep going. We'll fill the whole rectangle. So this is called Abervale Lookout, I believe. In our world, this had been overtaken by Frog, like a Frogman sort of special forces group. They had come up the cliffs, and they were holding all the normal soldiers that occupy the fort. They were holding them all hostage, and we had to rescue them. Okay. Great. Now let's return to. So we've got really 1, 2, 3. Remember, I wanted to do the hopscotch. So I've kind of done my hopscotch. 3, 6, 8 hexes of more detailed play information. So again, let's reference our main map. So that's that one. Oh, so this actually has some water going into it. I goofed that up. So let's actually put a lakeshore right in here. We've got a lakeshore like this. And this is going to be Gulgalak right here. So we will put, might as well include it on this map, right? Okay. This lake goes up into these woods. That line actually isn't there. This is the actual lake shore. Right? I might even fill that entire lake in to a degree. Okay, then we got some swamp. We've got swamp here and we got some water here. Got a sort of a narrow peninsula. And then this road is continuing down here. Okay. I think that's my main stuff. Right of the, here we have grasslands. A little bit of tree over here. That's it. Cool. That's not enough shown. All right. It's also, I kind of want to have, oh, you can't quite see that. There we go. I kind of want to have this big lake blob filled because the bottom of the page having a big ink fill is a very good thing. That said, it would also be really good to fill the pyramid and just deal with this stray line. I think that's even smarter. So let's go make some areas I'm going to not fill. Okay. You can barely see what I'm doing, but you got this. Gurgalak. This is one of the mega dungeons in the game. The reason I say Gulgalak or Gurgalak is that depending if you're reading it in Froggish or not, it's often translated with an R. But as a sort of pejorative change to Froggish terminology, it's called Gurgalak. I don't know. The truth is I just spelled it both ways. For so long, it just became the canon. And that big fill will eat this marker up for now. There you go. So again, I kind of get my wish of having one dark fill to anchor my page. I'm still feeling that, so that's good. But I don't think I need to fill this entire lake. I am going to do like a weird, overly tall cliff on the lake shot right there to explain my stray line. And then these cliffs kind of peter out. Kind of like the Ozarks. And I'll work on all this. We just have to reinforce, right? So you get your quick line, but you just, as you notice, you can't quite feel the presence of something you're trying to draw. That feel, in quotes, is your eye just can't get a glance comprehension. So as you're evaluating your work with any kind of illustration, that's what I call spotting. That's where you just let your eye tell you what it can and can't parse out, and you need to fix whatever it doesn't immediately comprehend. There we go. Now you're starting to feel how there's a break in the land down there. There's water down there. got some. I'm gonna have to add some little land masses here on spiderwood. So there's a couple little islands. Gets into a marsh over here. One easy way to do marsh is to do long grass, and then some of them have a little cattail blob on top, and then do your basic grass again. Whoo-wee! Look at this thing. We've been going an hour now, so I've done this much of our map in an hour. We still have these kind of really bare bones edges that don't have a lot of personality over here. So let's fix that. I'm going to switch to a new marker. A little pro tip on using Sharpies a lot: if you store them lid down between uses, when you come back to it, the nib will be extremely full of ink. So the used Sharpie you store this way, and your new Sharpies you store pointing up. Then you know which ones are resting and which ones are ready to use. Yeah, and this one has just a ton of ink in it. Jeez. Get the road kind of coming into town there. So far, this hasn't eaten up that many Sharpies. But if you look at my lifetime output of spent Sharpies, that would be insane. Great. Getting my edges to have some personality here. Getting a lot of great mileage out of Gulgalac. Like, that's really making a nice anchor for everything. All right, then we've got coastline here, so reinforcing that with some ink. I just got to do a little bit of a shoreline to satisfy the brain. These are like the root lands here. It's like where the roots of Hurion spread out. I might even add that. It's like where Hurion drinks from the lake. This is Grimtoe Mine. Fuck it, it's plural. Grimtoe Mines. Do some birds. So I definitely like having some more defined dark blobs. I'm even considering coloring like more of this and more of this and more of this, coloring it in so that we get a bit more presence. Like that. Still don't know if it's like even enough, but more of this fort is colored in. Filled in, I guess would be the right terminology. I'm only using one color. Mine has like a little backing piece here, give it some more fill. Urion can have a bigger shadow. So those big shadows will give Hurion that density that you can feel here, you can feel here, and you can feel here. See what I mean? And then you start, that's how your eye will wander around. It'll always be drawn to density and weight. And you can kind of slide the eye around with a little bit of practice. And by a little bit of practice, I mean at least 20 years. Hey, birds, man. Sup, birds? Got my swamp to do down here. Sorry you can't see much of this because my fat arm is in the way. Look at my big old gigantic arm. Get your giant arm out of the way. I don't want to. Man, it's got a giant arm. Stole it. From who? Giants. The root lands are kind of intriguing. Some little footpaths here and there. So what was this down in this guy? That is where the land is definitely wide open, like we're near the edge of the fissures. Not quite there though, so I don't want to suggest it's there because that would like really shorten the journey. But we do need grassland down here. You got this little path going down toward the fissures. Instead of trees, we kind of have these poofs that are on the ground by putting little ground lines. Man, this marker is so fresh to the game, like you can barely touch the surface with it. Great for fills, but woo wee, she got ink. Swamp area here. All right. We are approaching done. Crazy, right? All right, now I'm going to I'm going to put away my trusty brown Sharpie. It has served me very, very well. I'm going to crank up the heat on my fountain pen a bit. And first add my little spirally doodles I like to have in the corners. You know, you may or may not be able to see this as I do it. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. See, there's just, you can see that one. Boop. Look at that little dude. I just need those in the corner. Eric, yeah, I'm still doing double page thickness. I just glue them together. Just glue one page to the next. The thing has easily 300, maybe 500 pages. It's a ton. So if I can cut that in half, that would be fantastic. We've got Gardenborough, Abervale Lookout, the Loaf and Leaf. We've got Grimtoe Mines. We've got Alluria's Rock and the Gardenborough Farmland. We've got the Impenetrable Oakwood. We've got Hurion, the Ancient One, Spider Forest, Oak Lake, Frost Spring, the Bleeding Tree, Brambles, Gulgalak in its crazy swamp spider forest thing, the Rootlands. That's how many concepts we now have in here, whereas really all we had before was a vague lake, town, and this spring had been mentioned. So, and this tree was on the map, but it was just so small on the overall Northolds map. So I want to label this, give this like whole thing a title, but I don't think I have room. Yeah, I don't think I have room to put like a title on here. I'm just out of room, period. I don't even know where I would like write script unless I use some of these grasslands. Okay, just going to add some little script notes. Right, because it's the MORUT, so just about every page needs some script on it. And I'm not worried about the drawings underneath. All right, let's do this one first. So this is kind of the title right here. Artist's impression of the Oaken Wood area. We have road east to the fissures. And then we have the road west to Cargfort. And up here, this is the Emerald Narrows. Now, I think it might help too, just the look of this, if I reinforce my border. I'm going to do it without a ruler. I'm just going to do hand-drawn lines. Sometimes not using a ruler on a reinforcing borderline can give it a more organic feel, like it's a piece of paper or it was torn or decayed in some way. But sometimes the ruler can create a sort of a, a soulless line. And soul isn't always what you want, that's for sure. A lot of times you just want precision, but by doing this just by hand like this, I'll get a little bit of soul on these lines. There is a bit of skill, though, to drawing super straight lines freehand. It's a little bit of a thing to develop over time. All righty. Well, I think I did what I came to do, guys. This is a enhanced close-up view of the Oakenwood area in the North Holds, which you will find in your Crown and Skull book. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Keep up with me on ye old internet. I'll talk to you soon.